Hello and welcome back to the channel. On today's tutorial, I'm going to be sharing with you a video on how to cut and sew a transparent dartless corset. So if it's your first time viewing my channel, please hit on the subscribe button, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for always supporting my channel. So let's dive right into today's video. So first, here is my pattern that I have cut out, and I'll be explaining how I cut it out. So I cut out two pieces and I added ½ inch on this part, on the upper part, and I didn't add by the side, I added at the lower part. So opening my pattern, this is what I have. So I'm going to take this second part and I'll place it on it. So I'm going to be top stitching on it. So I'm going to iron and I'm going to go ahead to top stitch to hold it down to avoid it when I'm joining my pattern. So now for the side also, you're going to repeat the same process. I added ½ inch on top and beneath it. That's the only part I added ½ inch. So now I'm not going to cut out this lacing bar area. I'm just going to top stitch it on it so that by the time I sew, the lacing bar will not tear off from the main fabric. So I'm also going to top stitch it just like I'm going to do for the center piece. So after I'm done top stitching, this is what I have, and I'm going to go ahead to place and stitch with half. So now when I'm stitching, I'm not going to stitch at the back, I'll stitch in front of the dress. So all my joining will be in front. The reason why I'm doing this is so that the back is going to be very neat, and I'll go ahead to join. So after joining, this is what I have. Go ahead to trim off the excess that you have. So with that way, you're going to have a clean and neat finishing. So after I'm done sewing, this is what I have. Now you'll be creating the boning channel. So this is about 2½ inches, and I'm going to fold it. So the reason why I'm doing it this way, so that my boning will not be showing underneath it, and I'll use the boning case to cover this joining that I have at this point. So now I'll go ahead and stitch with ½ inch. So after I'm done stitching with ½ inch, this is what I have, and I'm going to go ahead to take out the excess I have, like all these threads coming out from it. So on this, I'm just going to fold before pleating. Like, just don't fold it directly, just fold this way, so that with that way it's going to cover some part of the sewing. Fold before you place on top. So I'm going to top stitch here and top stitch at the other part also. So after I'm done sewing, this is what I have. And so if you notice, there's line at the end of my corset, that will be the lacing bar, and from the thumbnail we don't have a boning at the center. So now I'll be creating boning channels on this side. So we actually have 3, but I'm just creating 2 on both sides. So I will repeat the same process on this side also. So now on this part, I'm just going to fold and I'm going to stitch with ½ inch to hold it down. So after I'm done stitching, this is what I have. Then fold in and fold again this way, so you'll be top stitching. So this is me after top stitching, and I'm going to cut this off. So I'm going to go ahead and create my boning channels with this method. So I've created the boning channel for this part of the dress, and this is what I have. Now I'm going to mark out the area for my lacing bar, so you can go ahead and cut it and replace, but I don't want to do that. I'm going to top stitch on it, so that by the time you create your lacing bar area, your lacing bar won't be tearing off from the main corset. So for the lacing bar, I went ahead to measure about 4 inches. So because my lacing bar is about 1.5, so I'm going to also use it to turn the back, and I added ½ inch, making it 4 inches. So you're going to go ahead to iron gum stay on it and iron this ½ inch at the end. So when creating your boning channel, this is what it's going to look like. So let me go ahead and iron the gum stay and interfacing to this part, and I'm going to start creating my lacing bar. So now this is what I've created on this part. So I'm going to be creating on this part. I'll show you how I created my lacing bar. So I cut out, for the width I'm using the 4 inches, that 1.5 at this part and 1.5 at the other back, because it's covering both the back. So I'll measure this 1.5 inches on this part. And for the length, after cutting out the length of your lacing bar, I added extra ½ inch, so that in case I have shortage, it's going to reach to the point where I'm sewing. So I cut out gum stay for this part, and when I was cutting out, some parts removed, but that's not still necessary because I'm not going to wear this. It's just an illustration video. So I'm going to go over to the sewing machine and I'll place from the wrong side, and I'm going to stitch with ½ inch all the way down, holding it down, and go ahead to iron it. So now this is this part. I've gone ahead to iron gum stay on it, and now I'm going to flip it this way. Just like I mentioned, I ironed down that ½ inch. So when you're going to place it, you make sure this part is covering this part, especially the stitch you ran on it. Just iron it a bit so that it's going to cover this part, will cover it very well. So this is what you're going to have, and I'll go ahead to run a stitch on it, top stitch it to hold it down. So after I'm done sewing, I'm just going to trim out the excess I have on top, and this is what I have. So now what I'm going to do is to mark out where I'm going to run my boning case on. I'm going to sew like 2 stitches on it. I don't know whether you're seeing it, sorry. And I'll go over to the sewing machine and stitch on that part, just like I did for this other part. So after sewing, this is what I have. Now we'll be working on the yoke part of this dress. So on this part, I added ½ inch and added ½ inch on top, and I cut it on fold. So I have 2 pieces on this side. So now I'm going to go ahead to run a stitch at the neckline, join the 2 armhole, and top stitch this later to hold it down. So for the yoke at the back, I cut out 4 pieces, 2 for each side. So I'm going to go ahead to stitch on the neckline this way. So remember, I added ½ inch to all these parts I'm pointing out. So I'll go ahead and stitch with ½ inch and trim out the excess. So after stitching out the yoke, this is what I have. So now I'm going to go ahead to join it together. So I'm going to place this on one side, and I'm going to be turning it with the other side. So I'm going to be using the back to wrap the front. So I'll stitch on the shoulder and then stitch by the side. So on the other part also, I'm going to go ahead to place, and I'm going to wrap and stitch. So after stitching, this is what I have, and we'll be joining it to the other part of the dress. So now this is the fabric that I have. I want to cut out the material we use to cover the cup part. So I'll just go ahead and fold. So after folding that, you want to go ahead to measure. So you can use about 4 to 6 inches. You can use 4 to 6 inches depending on the size of your bust. So go ahead and place your tape, and you're going to mark around it this way. So after marking around it, I'm going to go ahead to cut it out. So after cutting out, this is what I have, and I will slit this into 2. After that, I'll be creating a 1 inch dart depending on the size of your bust. So I'm going to mark it out. So I'll use this to cut out 8 pieces for the lining and for the main fabric. So this is the so now I'm going to go ahead and run a stitch on this part, and I will notch it. So after cutting it out, this is my bra cup that I have. So you're going to place it, and you're going to go ahead to stitch on it, like stitch on it this way. So I'll also repeat the same process for the other part of my cup and I'll place and also stitch. Just note where you're placing so that you have the same shape and design on your cup. So after that, I'm going to go ahead to trim, and I'm going to add ½ inch round my cup. So this is what I have after that, and you're also going to repeat it on the other cup. So on this part also, you're going to take the part for the lining, fold it in this way, and you're going to trace out exactly what you have on this other part. You're going to also repeat this for the other cup also. So after cutting out, this is what I have, and this is what it is looking like. So after I'm done cutting out this, I'll repeat the same process for this, and now I'm going to be attaching the lining part of my cup. So now I'm just going to place and stitch with ½ inch. So this is supposed to be the exact cup size, because you used your cup to cut out this place. So I'm going to stitch from the front part. All my allowance is going to be on the front part of this dress, and this is how the back is going to be looking like. So now moving along, you want to go ahead and place your cup and check what you have is okay. So now I want to mark where my yoke will start. I'll place and notch, place my pattern paper. I'm just making sure I don't notch the wrong part. So now what I'm going to do is to join my yoke to my dress, and I'm going to place, and I'll be stitching with ½ inch, and all my stitches will be at the front part. So go ahead and stitch with ½ inch from this part to the end, and from this part to the other end. So now this is what I have, and after stitching it, so you're going to place your yoke in a way that when you place it this way, you're going to join it to the right side. All your stitches will come out at the right side, so you can flip your sleeve or the yoke, whatever one you want to call it. Just place it and stitch. Make sure your stitches will show at the right side of your corset. So now this is what I have, and I'm going to go ahead to trim out the excess I have at the upper part. So at this point, I want to turn this part with a piece of fabric. So you can cut about 2 inches for the width, and the length, measure what you have. So I'm just going to start from here and stitch with ½ inch all the way down. Sorry, my video is too fast. I'm just trying to make sure that the video is a bit short and not too long, because what I recorded was actually too long. So at this part, I'll stitch and fold in and then turn up, just like you're attaching a bias. So this is it. I'm done folding one side, and as you can see at the back, it is very neat. So by the time you're done stitching, this will be the front part. So I'll go ahead and fold in this part. So I'll be explaining how you do this. So I'll just cut out this a bit, the stitching allowance I have here, so that I won't have any rough edges inside the corset. So now I'm going to fold it. I'm going to go ahead and fold it into two this way, and top stitch it, fold it into two, so that by the time you've top stitch, the back is going to be very neat. So at the center also, you're going to do the same process. So this is it. I'm done stitching, and I've created that center pattern just the same way I added by the side. So now you're going to go ahead to place your cup, and you're going to top stitch it. So this is the wrong side of my corset, and this is the right side. So as you can see, it is looking very neat. So now you want to place your cup at both sides, place, and you're going to be top stitching with all this ½ inch you have round it. So that's why we left the ½ inch. So please fold the one inside, like the lining part, and you're going to top stitch. So I forgot to mention, on your lining, please iron a gum stay or interfacing to it also. So I'm just going to place and I'm going to top stitch, and after top stitching I'm going to repeat it at the other side also. So after top stitching, this is what I have, and as you can see, it is looking very neat. So you can use this for an inbuilt corset, and you can also bead this to create the desired. So some of the corset that you see that has beading on it, that is after sewing a corset with your skin net. So this is how it is actually, this is how it is. So before you start beading it, so you're going to go ahead to pass all your boning to all the boning channels that you have created. So go ahead and pass all your boning to all the boning channels. So I'll just pass some and then do others behind the camera. Just go ahead and pass all your boning. So when you're passing it, please don't let it reach to the end. You can leave about ½ inch at the lower part. Now I'm going to wrap the lower part with a strip of fabric. That is after I'm done passing all my boning. So now I'm going to fold this into two and fold it this way. So I'm going to run a stitch from behind it. After that, I'll just fold it back and I will top stitch, sorry, just like you're sewing a bias. So after sewing, this is my final look. So as you can see, this is looking very neat. So if you haven't yet subscribed, please hit on the subscribe button. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and see you in our next video. Thanks.